Hey, I'm Brandon Gaylor. Today we're at eztroll Outdoors, and I'm going to show y'all the top selling baits for this past week because it's Top Bait Tuesday. It's the same as the last few weeks pretty much. Number one selling bait was these Tipton Alabama rigs. We sold 7 of these last week. This was for the first week of February, and this is the number one selling bait. The second selling bait was something we've been seeing already the past couple weeks, which is in the middle room here. Of course, it's the Kaitek swim bait. That's been our best selling bait for the past several weeks, and it is the 3.8, which has been the best selling size of the Swing Impact Fat in Sexy Shad. This color's not been selling the best. We've been selling the Pro Blue Red Pearl, but this week it was actually Sexy Shad. It says the top selling actual lure instead of the Alabama rig, but it goes with the Alabama rig. This bait pairs up perfect with the Alabama rig, or you can fish it like as a single bait by itself. And this week's Top Bait Tuesday is for the week of, February 6th through February 12th. That was last week. And for our crappie baits, these were really the only 2 bass baits that stood out. Like, we had the majority sales of these. And for our crappie baits, once again, it is the Kalin's Triple Threat Grub in John Deere Green. That is our best selling crappie bait of all time. And once again, it outsells all the other ones this past week. So next, I'll show y'all kind of how to rig these up and how to use them. So with this Alabama rig, you're going to want to rig this up with some kind of bait on the end of it. And in Tennessee, we can only use 3 hooks. So that means 2 of these, which you're going to use the top 2, are going to be dummies. For your dummy baits, you're going to want to use one of these like springs. This is the owner centering pin spring. And what you do is, so you just clip the end of these springs with your bait on it to the end of this clip here, and then clip it back. And you can also take these clips off and put split rings on them. That's a super secure way. And if you get a big fish, it won't ever pull out this little clip here. So if you want to do that, it's optional. Some guys that fish really big fish, they'll want to take those off and just put straight split rings to them. Next up, you'll need some kind of swim bait head, like a jig head, or these actual jig heads that are made for swim baits. Either one works. So this is just a round ball head jig head. That works fine. It's made for grubs or any kind of baits, but you can run that on these swim baits here too. And all you do with either style of jig head is you just clip the head of it, like your line tie. Just clip that to this Alabama rig and put your swim bait on it, and have the hook point, run your hook point through the head of the bait and have it coming out the back, the top of the bait. So you're going to have all 5 of these swim baits on this Alabama rig, and 2 of them will have a dummy where there's no hook, and 3 of them will have the hooks. So that's how we rig it in Tennessee. If you're in some other state where there's no laws against the amount of hooks you use, just put all 5 of these on here with hooks if you want to do that. For a rod and reel and line setup, I'd go with at least a 7 foot all the way up to 8 foot, 7 to 8 foot. The longer probably the better. Unless you're around cover, use a shorter rod. Just makes it more accurate casting. If you're just lobbing it out there super long distance, I'd go like an 8 foot rod. You want a heavy action rod with these swim baits, it's going to be a lot of weight, like probably over an ounce, at least probably an ounce to 2 ounces. And you can use like a big long handled swim bait rod. That's probably the best rod for these. And it's got a little more moderate action bend, so you can kind of load them up and sling them. You don't want a flipping stick because you can't cast it that good. It's going to be like casting with a broom handle where it doesn't have any tip give. You can do it, but it's not the best. Get some kind of heavy action rod with a tip on it. a flexible tip so you can actually cast it good. I prefer like 20 or 25 pound monofilament. A lot of guys use braid, but the monofilament, I have less breakages with it. The braid, I tend to snap it off in the reel. It tangles up in the reel, and on the cast it'll snap it off, and you'll have your $40 Alabama rig go flying through there. For this crappie setup with the John Deere green grub, you'll take some kind of jig head. Like here's just a Strike King Mr. Crappie jig head, and rig it the same way as you do that Alabama rig or the swim bait setup. Just run the hook through the tip of that grub and out the back. And you can either fish this under a floater or just cast it out there and slowly reel it back, or you can just kind of have it under the boat, holding it like dead sticking it, kind of, where you're just holding it. You probably find some fish on your depth finder. Say they're 20 foot deep, you'll drop this down right above them or right on them, and just kind of hold it there, and they'll usually bite it. You can jig it up and down some, but a lot of times with crappie, they'll just hit it, just staying there. It's got enough action in the tail and stuff that it looks like it's moving. Rod wise, you probably want like a medium light, whatever size, whatever length you want, whatever you feel comfortable with, like a 6'6" or 7 foot medium light with probably 4 or 6 pound line. That's a good crappie setup. Check back next week and see if anything changes on these top selling baits. Right now it's Alabama rigs and swim baits and John Deere green grubs. So hopefully this week we'll get some warmer conditions and we'll get some different selling baits. But right now, Alabama rig is king. See y'all next time.